I mean, on the good side is that sometimes in life, if you see an opportunity, you need to not hem and haw too much and you just need to go for it because there's always, I think it's worse to have missed opportunities and not have done something. In hindsight, you regret that. And so I don't regret doing it because I've done it. And now I have a very clear idea of what I want for my life.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of your OrthoPreneurs podcast. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Melissa Bailey. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have you here, and thank you for agreeing to do this. Melissa was part of a conversation in OrthoPreneurs in the Facebook group when people started talking about their side hustles. And, we all have something in common. We're all orthodontists. And so we're going to talk about ortho. We're going to talk about side hustles. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship and maybe some of the things that get in our way when we're orthodontists from allowing us to have the happiness that we want to have. And so welcome, Melissa. I'm just thrilled to have you. And so thank you.
Thanks again for having me.
Well, as we start with everybody, I'm just going to ask you, give us, your short story. How did you end up where you are today?
Well, I kind of had I had taken the side roads. I was actually a piano performance major in college. I had
Wow.
always had an idea about doing healthcare because my aunts, uncles, my grandparents are all doctors, and so. But I decided to do piano performance, and so after teaching piano for about 10 years during high school, college, I thought, well, I should really think about going back into healthcare again. So I picked dentistry, and I was one of the few people that didn't get orthodontic treatment as a kid. And so as a first year, I march into the cosmetics department and said, I want veneers.
Really? You wanted
Yes,
veneers?
I want veneers. And they said, well, have you considered orthodontics? Because you have really deep bite. I'm like, my teeth are pretty straight. So, then, lo and behold, I became a patient in the orthodontic clinic and I got to know the residents and the faculty. And it was kind of a unique perspective because I'm learning about, dentistry and all of that. But at the same time, I was older. And so I had this different perspective as a patient. And so that gave me a very unique view into orthodontics. And so after that, it was ortho. And so I got into Loma Linda University for my orthodontic residency. And here I am.
Nice. Yeah, it's really interesting how an educated woman like yourself, somebody who was in dental school, your
Mhm.
first thought was veneers, not ortho.
Yeah.
And you start wondering what percentage of our patients or what percentage of potential patients who are out there at a general dental office say,
Mhm.
"Hey, I want veneers." And
Yeah.
the general dentist either doesn't have the wherewithal or is just greedy and says, "Sure, I'll do a set of veneers on you," and never sends them from ortho, right?
Absolutely. And I was in my 20s. And so can you imagine having to have to replace those every 10 years or so? And so that was great. I'm glad that I had that journey. It
If you
also
had a
helped
deep
me to
if you had
relate
a
to
deep
my
bite,
patient better.
you were going to replace them more than every 10 years if you had a deep
Oh,
bite. They were not going to last you 10 years. No
you're
way,
right
man.
about that. And I don't think
No
anyone
way.
would want to put veneers on me.
On behalf of the entire ortho world, we're thankful you chose ortho.
Ah,
Um,
yeah.
and so you came out of school from Loma Linda, and what did
Mhm.
you do? Did you just set up shop? Did you start your own practice? Did you
Yes,
work with
yes.
somebody?
So during that time, 2012, end of 2012, I was trying to look for jobs. I was trying to look for practices, and I there weren't that many out there really. A lot of them were either multi-million dollar practices that I couldn't really afford, or they were kind of like startups or modified startups or kind of practices in sort of decline. So I had looked at a lot and I had sent out tons of mailers to all these different orthodontists. I basically looked at the AAO handbook of all the orthodontists and I picked everybody that were supposed to be retiring soon and I sent mailers to them. And there was this one gentleman I was in Southern California, but there's this guy who is in his 70s and he had a sort of like a very small satellite office that he likes to practice in. He had already sold his main practice years ago. So it was a modified startup and I bought it. And it was just kind of trying to learn everything at once. the sterilization, the management, all of that. But of course, I was also found out I was pregnant. A month after residency. So I had two babies in the 3 years that I had
Wow.
this modified practice while also working at Western Dental, which was a
Wow.
very big corporate. I don't know if you've heard, people in California know about Western Dental, where you
Yeah.
see, 7, 8 chairs. And anyway,
A lot of
I was
work.
doing that. I was working 5 to 6 days a week while trying to learn how to manage that practice. And I didn't love the community that I was in. I just, in my gut, I knew that that wasn't the right thing for me, and it wasn't the right time for me to do that. So I sold the practice after 3 years, and after that, I took on a couple of associate positions very close by to work, 3 miles away. And it was during that time that I actually had the mind space and you know the time to kind of come up with some side projects.
Nice. Well, let's go back for a second, if you don't mind. You came out of school, you sent out letters to
Hmm.
people who were supposedly retiring. You weren't too picky over where you wanted to practice at the time. It was more about, I just want to practice. Um, if you could go back with hindsight, knowing what you know today, how would you have approached that journey? For any residents who are out there now listening, what
Hmm.
would you have done differently, or would you have done it the same way?
It's hard to say because hindsight is 2020.
Which is
I
what I want. I want
think
that 2020 vision.
I think that if I were to do it all over again, I would think it would be helpful to work as an associate for a few years, because then you learn a lot and you kind of figure out what type of practice you are looking for. And part of the problem is that I'm not from the Bay Area. And so I think it's hard to know the nuances of the patients and the communities and things like that. So I think you could learn a lot of the business part of it. I mean, on the good side is that sometimes in life, if you see an opportunity, you need to not hem and haw too much and you just need to go for
Right.
it, because there's always, I think it's worse to have missed opportunities and not have done something. In hindsight, you regret that. And so I don't regret doing it because I've done it. And now I have a very clear idea of what I want for my life. And I'm not always thinking in hindsight like, oh, I need to look for a practice to buy, like I need to do this, because I've already done it and I've
Right.
sort of developed an idea of the type of life that I want to have. And I think you have to be very brave about and honest with yourself about what is it that you want, because it looks different to everyone. And so to me, having done all of that all together was was helpful, because it really helped me to realize, like, do I want to spend my weekends thinking about staff issues and this something that broke, or do I want to do X, Y, and Z? So I
Yeah.
think that's different for everyone, and there isn't really a one way.
Yeah, and let's be honest, risks in ortho are not really risks. Like, how often does somebody in ortho say, I bought this practice and it failed? Or I went into this associateship and I couldn't make any money? It's rare. Our failures are not like somebody says, I'm going to start a restaurant, right?
Right.
And they lose their house over it.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
so, but nowadays,
Mhm.
you don't practice ortho anymore, correct? Or you
uh
do?
what do you mean?
So nowadays you practice in two OSOs, right? Or a
Yeah.
DSO,
So
but
yes, so
that's not your main gig.
I mean, it is. I work 3 days a week. So I work 2 days at a multi-specialty practice, and it's owned by GPs. I've been there for 10 years.
Okay.
And then I'm also at a small DSO 1 day a week, and I've been with them for 3 years. So luckily, I've been able to find very stable associateships. Those are the only two that I've had since I sold my practice.
Nice.
10 years ago. Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about specialty
No.
practice or a DSO. So we're here to talk about something else you created.
Yes. Yes. So in that time while I'm just practicing, I have more mental space to kind of think about things. So one day, uh, I started to treat, a lot more clear aligner cases. And I always find that I have issues with patients sort of not wearing their trays, forgetting to switch their trays. For adults, I tell them to switch every 10 days, but nobody can remember every 10 days, and the staff can't really do the math either. And I said, oh, you know what? I'm sure Invisalign has an app for this. I mean, they've been around for a long time. This is back in 2017. So that night, I said, okay, let me look it up so I can tell my patients. Guess what? No app. No
Nothing.
app from Invisalign, nothing out there. I thought, geez, apps have been around for a long time. Like, who doesn't have something like that? And I thought to myself, well, my role as the orthodontist, I'm only as successful as my patient's compliance and their biology. So a lot of it is out of our hands. And, let's be honest, we're orthodontists. We are, probably perfectionistic, detail oriented. We're control freaks, and we don't like it when we don't get the results we want because our patients aren't doing what they're supposed to. So
Right.
I thought, well, my job is to make things easier for them. I'm not there to do it for them. I can't do it for them,
Right.
but maybe I could give them tools. And so I talked to a friend of mine who happens to be my patient, my board patient, actually, while I was at UCLA. He
Wow.
was getting his PhD in computer science. And he ended up getting a job at Google, and I was up in Orinda in the East Bay of San Francisco. And I said, and he was still doing braces at the time, and he was going to fly back to UCLA. And I said, look, I'm going to treat your case. So we became friends, and I
Wow.
asked him, I said, hey, I have this idea. Would you help me? And so that's kind of how it all started. We created Trayminder, which is a clear aligner app. It has a timer, so it's really easy. It tells you when to switch your aligners. You can take teethies, which are teeth selfies, to document your journey. You can make a video. You can send your wear time statistics to your orthodontist. So patients love it. They really find that it's helpful because we're addicted to our phones. And basically, the app is like this annoying little buddy that keeps dinging you to wear your aligners. If you don't, then it's going to annoy the heck out of you in a good way.
So
So,
how have you advertised it?
ah, so we don't have a marketing budget. I mean, it's actually quite a labor intensive type of work. I didn't realize how much work goes into creation of the app because I brought the ortho part of it and the business side, and my partner Mars, he's the tech side. And in order to make something really, really good, you actually have to make it simple, and simple
Right.
things actually take the most time to create.
For
So
the
we have
most part.
no budget. We have no marketing budget. So then I decided, well, the best organic way to market our Trayminder app is for me to do YouTube videos.
Okay.
And I have not done any sort of work in that regard. And it was the first video was so awkward. It probably took me 40 takes
Oh my God.
to do this one minute video, but that's what was needed. And so I started to create more content. I got better. And what was also missing out there in terms of ortho education, especially clear aligner education, is a lot of the videos are or short. They're kind of like junk food, like because it's fast and it's easy, but at the end you didn't really learn anything from it. You didn't
Right.
gain too much. And so I started to do more in-depth videos about specific issues because users were now emailing me and sending messages like, well, I lost my aligner. What do I do? Or how do I clean it? This one is stuck. My attachment came off. My office is closed. What do I do? They just started to kind of see me as sort of their ortho authority figure. So every
Interesting.
time a user had a question, I thought, okay, well, this is a content I should probably make. And so
Yeah.
started to make videos, and that's kind of how we organically marketed the app. So I last checked, and I have close to 3 million views on YouTube.
Wow. Wow.
Not
So
not I'm not the braces guy. I'm not that funny person that sings and jumps and have this staff. But I think I just have a unique voice. I give a lot of clear, helpful, detailed content, and I sometimes that depth of information is what is needed.
Yeah,
That's what people
there's
are
a place
looking
for
for.
everybody. I'm not Grant Collins. I'm not the braces guy.
No,
Um,
I'm
and,
not.
and not everybody needs to be, right? I
Mhm.
think years ago I learned the best way you can be on social media is to be authentically you, period. If you're
Absolutely,
funny, be
absolutely.
funny. If you like doing, ask Grant why he does it. I asked him.
Yeah,
I said, Grant, why do you do what you do? He says, because I love acting. I love the creating the plays and the
there
alter
you go.
egos. And
Yes,
but if you're not that person, you try to become it. It's
it's
so
just
inauthentic. Everybody
awkward.
spots it a mile away.
Yes, 100%. And so I just had to say, look, I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to get a ton of views from TikTok, but maybe I'm attracting a different crowd that
Yeah.
actually wants that more in-depth information. So you're absolutely right. You have to be yourself. And hmm,
But you're not looking to sell your product through orthodontists. Your goal is direct to consumer. You're hoping that people see it out on the market, right? Because this is a big switch from what most ortho products are. Most ortho products market to orthodontists to use with their patients. You
yes.
really don't care. Your goal is to get as many people using it, irrespective of whether their orthodontist is on board or not.
Well, I think that was one of our. We had talked. Mars and I had talked about how do we make money, right? So one way is actually through the orthodontists or dentists who are doing aligners. But what we have found is that orthodontists, dentists in general, are slow to adopt new ideas. And then,
Agreed.
especially if you want them to pay a little something, it's just they're very very slow. It takes a lot, even if it's something that's very low cost and it will help their patients to finish faster, maybe fewer refinements. Orthodontists are very difficult to kind of convert. So what we have found
Really? I never
typically,
noticed running orthopreneurs. I never noticed. Did you notice there's no more summit anymore? There's a reason for that. Or I've said it over and over again. Orthodontists come to me and tell me, greatest meeting I've ever been to. Ever. I say, great, are
and
you
then you
going
didn't
next year?
sign up
Well,
for
I can't go next year because my cousin's uncle's mother is flying in for 4 days and it may be during that meeting. I'm like, okay. So, orthodontists, you may or may not know this, but when we have businesses that run around orthodontists that
them.
orthodontists have to buy, whether it's remote response, orthopreneurs, and I speak to other people who are orthodontists who have businesses that deal with orthodontists, and
Hmm.
this is no secret. I don't mind saying you don't have to respond at all. I have broad shoulders. I'll take it on my shoulders. We joke about the fact that orthodontists as a whole are
Hmm.
tougher to deal with than the worst patients they complain about. You don't
I,
have to
you're probably
You
right.
don't
You're
say a word.
probably right.
They're fickle. They don't want to spend money. They
Cautious.
think they have all the answers. They
Hmm.
think they know better than any company that's out there that's doing something for them. They're stubborn to no end,
Yeah.
and always have a reason why they can't do what's really in
Uh,
their best interest. And this
yeah.
is not coming from me. This is
No.
anybody who has a
But
business that deals with orthodontists knows
mhm.
that I'm telling 100% the truth. So if you're out there listening and you say, "Well, this doesn't apply to me," it does apply to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
No,
won't make you say it, Melissa.
you're right. You're right, and that's why we had to pivot very quickly.
Yeah,
And that's one thing I learned from doing this is that you can throw ideas out there. It's important to just get your ideas out there and implement it and see what works. Don't spend a huge amount of time on something that you think somebody would like and make it perfect and then send it out only to realize that there isn't really a great demand. And so we quickly realized that our our organic growth from um, evangelist type users. I mean, we had users making tutorials of the Trayminder app.
that's awesome.
They're doing their before and afters. They're taking teethies every week and using our photo platform to send it out onto Facebook groups and things like that. And then I said to Mars, I said, oh, well, in our before and afters, right in the center, we need to put Trayminder because every time they send it out, they're sharing, they're basically advertising for us. So
Exactly.
these are the kind of things that we didn't have all these things. I mean, Mars has done 800 updates, in the seven
Oh my
years.
gosh,
That's one update every 3 days.
that's
I
crazy.
think he is, and he, as an engineer, he's extremely detail oriented, perfectionistic as well too. But what I've learned is that you're not waiting. We're not waiting around thinking like, oh, what should we do with our app, or how should we? No, all you have to do is just listen to your customers. Just listen. Just listen. What do they want? Oh, this is great. Yeah, we hadn't thought about that. So I think that that applies to orthodontic practice
It
as well
does. I was about
too.
to
You know,
say it
listen
applies to
to
ortho
your
practice.
patients and see what they want, and don't be so stubborn and think that you know best. Like, be open, be more open, be creative.
So if
Yeah.
orthodontists want to learn more about the Trayminder app, where do they go to learn more?
Yeah, just trayminder.com. We're on the App Store, we're on Google Play. And yeah, it's very easy to find. It's free. The timers, all the core features are absolutely free. We recently, after 7 years, have decided to go from an ad based platform to a subscription model, and that affords more storage of their teethies. There's the Apple Watch that they can wear to ding them every time they have to put their trays back in, and a lot of other widgets and features like that. And that
Nice.
helps us to be able to store the millions and millions of teethies on the cloud safely, and to keep kind of innovating and creating updates for
Nice.
our yeah, for our
So then
patients.
go to trayminder.com
Mm-hmm. Trayminder
or
app.
the App Store.
Yeah. Or the App
Awesome.
Store, Google Play. Yeah.
Cool. Well, kudos to you for doing this. This is pretty cool. And thank you for being on here today. I'm thrilled we had a chance to talk about this. Your journey is certainly an interesting one, no doubt. And and I have no doubt that after Trayminder, there'll be something else that we're going to hear from you down the road. Who knows what it'll be, but I know it'll be exciting. Well, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to seeing lots of Trayminder teethies out there, not selfies, lots of teethies out there. But thank you for being here today, Melissa.